Hi y'all, welcome back to Homestead to Health. My name is Caitlin, and earlier this week I went through a vlog where I talked about all of the wonderful things that my garden this year so far has taught me. And today we're going to do a garden update, but not just a garden update, but an update on like things that I've done around here that I think are just making this place look a little nicer. Because in the spirit of learning new things, gathering information, and growing and doing better, it's just of course the theme of just doing better. And so I want to point out some awesome things. Something that you don't see and you haven't seen is that we are a 2-vehicle family, and for the past 4 or 5 months now we've been down to 1 car. My husband works across the state for the most part, and so I've been staying at home way more than usual, despite the fact that the quarantine and everything is going on. This situation has kept me just, going crazy inside. I do have a vehicle that I have been using, but I'm just so ready to get back in my own car. And this week we finally saved up enough money so that we can get our car fixed, and so I'm getting my car back. Yay! So that's something that I'm really excited about, and it honestly kind of makes the things that I've done around here pale a little bit, but I'm still very excited. Right off of the back door over here, my husband, with all of his brute strength, moved that mattress that I threw out the back door, and we are starting to clean up this back area up quite a bit. So everything but the kitchen sink is gone, but I think it looks a lot nicer than it has been. Over here off of the deck, this area right here has just been a huge mess lately. And not only did I come through and clean it up a little bit, but I used some of the spare wood that was hanging out to make a little step down for the porch. Look at that. So being the carpenter that I am, just kidding, these steps were actually a really fun project that I did yesterday. The girls hung out on the porch while my husband chopped down an entire tree. So now you have 2 options. You can sit on the porch after climbing up these awesome stairs. You can sit on the porch and look out to see straight to the goats, because we have a tree missing now. So over here is where there used to be a really big tree right here in the middle. It went all the way up and it was really starting to bush out. It blocked our view in a great way, but so did the burn pile over there behind everything. Now, we tried with all of our might to get that burn pile going, and it just did not want to burn for us. But just as much as we could get it to go down, it really thinned out quite a bit. Very much later on, maybe this fall, maybe even next spring, we would love to come over here and completely flatten this out. Maybe expand with some fences, get our goats a much bigger area, maybe switch to pasture pigs next year. There's just a whole lot to discuss and a whole lot of opportunities that would come up out of clearing this and flattening it out quite a bit. But I think that we have done really nicely just for, a 48-hour period. So that's great. That's really good stuff. But let's go on to the plants, right? Let's go on to what matters. So my beautiful, lovely sunflowers that have just given me so much joy, and apparently so much joy for some mating bugs, they're on their way out. I have snipped a couple of heads off to dry, and I'll probably end up just throwing them right back to the chickens, maybe replanting some of them. But yes, their days are numbered, but they're still gorgeous. Behind me, I have ripped up most of these daikon radishes. It was too hot for them. They've all gone to seed. And so I'm just letting this kind of play its role. That's going to be a reoccurring theme, I think, throughout this video. It's just kind of letting things play their role. Right now, I think today's temperature was 97 degrees, but with the heat index, I brought us up to 103. It is wild around here, and it's really hot. And today was not near as bad, but it's been very humid, and so some of our plants are just honestly suffering. They're going through a hard time. They're not looking their best. They're probably not producing their best, but especially the things here in the backyard that have these big trees back here to help out with shade during the day and stuff. Some of these things are actually starting to pull through, like my yellow Dutch cucumbers that weren't doing anything for me at first. They're finally starting to do something. Hi, baby lizard. Nope, okay. So here's my first yellow Dutch cucumber, and it's doing okay. That bad boy in there, I'm gonna get him later, but I've been waiting on him for quite a while. This bed is doing amazing. I've been watering way more often. You can see that I've added all of this rabbit manure in here. This bed is looking better than it's looked all season long, and I think it's about to start putting off quite a bit of fruit. And those are a couple of melon seeds that my big girl planted, so I can't wait to see what happens there. Over here, some fun things are growing on too. So not only do we have awesome pickling cucumbers here that have been doing pretty great, but we've got our buckwheat going, and it's flowering. Got a noisy frog or something nearby. And then we've got marigolds about to open up, and they're doing just amazing. You can see, so I'm 5'2", and these beds probably give it an extra foot up, but look how tall this amaranth and those marigolds are compared to me. Isn't that wild? Now, this amaranth does look quite eaten up, but even in the catalogs of Baker Creek, most of the leaves, the foliage of amaranth seem to be eaten up on their photos as well. And so I'm not feeling too bad about that. But guys, they're about to put off heads, and I'm super excited to see what that looks like. Aren't those different looking? I'm not sure what to expect. But these are doing really, really well. I think this is just Love Lies Bleeding. And this was supposed to be something about red dye, I think. But this one is definitely doing better. I think the red dye ones, there's some right here that'll end up coming through. But who knows? Overall though, raised beds, thumbs up guys. My gourds are just going insane. And here is a cantaloupe that I am just stalking. As well as, there we go. Look at that gourd. Now I could just go on like a melon and gourd hunt, but honestly these beds are doing really well as well. But there's been a new development over here. There's been quite a few surprises. Because my okra took such a hit over there in the large garden, I did plant some okra over here, and it is up and it's doing something. It's growing. But also have a few surprises in here. Like I have a very random sunflower and a nasturtium and a giant gourd. Here's the kids' garden, and even though this was the sloppiest, most underwhelming, most disheveled bed at the beginning of the season, now it is my cleanest, nicest, most beautiful garden space, I believe, here on the property. So there's nothing different or new to report over here. Things will change as the seasons kind of change, but right now in the dead heat of July, nothing is going on over here except for just, you know, consistent, beautiful. The large garden space over here though could not be more different. So this was my big, beautiful garden, and it still is, don't get me wrong. It is still absolutely gorgeous. However, just like I said a second ago, we're really at that point where things are kind of just doing what they're gonna do. There's not a whole lot that I can add or subtract from these gardens right now. So right now it's just a period of existing. I've been doing a lot of planning lately. I've been thinking about future gardens. I've been thinking of just gardens to come later this year. And I think I'm done with that. I think I'm done with the planning things, just because, like I said, now is the time of just being, and being present in this garden is exactly where I need to be. Because even though I think it needs all this work, which it does, it really desperately needs to be weeded, it's still doing absolutely incredible. My peppers are really starting to take off. My tomatoes, I'm bringing in a big bushel of harvest every single day. That sun really came out just in time. Yay! Every single pepper has fruited at some point. Guys, by the way, my mystery plant that I didn't know what they are, they're really spicy cherry peppers. Now I don't know if they're going to continue to go until they're kind of brownish. I've picked them whenever they're bright red, but these are really, really spicy. I would venture to say that these are probably something called atomic bell peppers, which is what I've had somewhere else. But that's what the mystery seeds were. Isn't that fun? Oh no. So this is something called scorch, which simply means too hot, not moist enough. This won't be wasted though. I'll just eat the rest of the pepper. I'm gonna leave this though. I'm gonna have to come back for it because I did not bring a basket. But my zinnias are just fighting for it, man. They're beautiful. Got some dry beans I need to come get. Cosmos are still hanging on. Gorgeous. Look at this guy. He probably is like, help me, this is so heavy. Look at that nasty bug. Get out of there, bug. The chocolate bell peppers. Beautiful. So everybody else talks about atomic grapes and how good they are. I feel like I failed them this year. Maybe there's something I was missing, but I've barely been able to get any tomatoes off of these because by the time they're big enough and they're ready to go, something's wrong with them. So I mean, I'll give these one more shot just because I've heard such good things about them, but you can even see just they're a little twerpy, right? So I don't know about these guys. That sun came out and it was not playing. Ooh, my candy cane striped zinnias are still magical, still beautiful, still holding strong. I did rip out my buttercup squash that were over here, and I have not replaced them. It is way too hot right now to try to replace things. I know that in northern states, people are still planting in July, and really they're just coming into their summer months. But this is summer month number 3 for us. I did not know something. I just learned this actually. I learned that other states don't go back to school in August. Isn't that wild? Because they save it as one of their summer months, right? Like that's one of their fun months to be out doing stuff. But for us here in the South, we're like, nah, man, it's hot. It's been hot. Put these kids in air conditioner, teach them something. But I thought that was really different. We were talking about when to start doing our homeschooling things for our big girl, and we were like, let's do September because the September calendar always had like a school bus on it. And we got to like googling it, and Google said that South starts in August because of the heat, whereas northern states start in September. And I thought that was very different. I didn't know that. But back to the garden. Yes, my tomatoes are doing excellent in a way because I'm bringing so many tomatoes in, but they're also doing pretty poorly just because of the heat, early blight. I'm gonna come through pretty soon and manage these weeds, and how I plan on doing that is getting landscape fabric in, covering up the rows, because guys, look at this fabric. So this fabric here, which there is fabric there, look at that black stuff. This fabric here disintegrated. See how useful it was against weeds? It was not useful. Whereas over here on this row, look at that weed coverage. Now those are coming over and spilling over. Those are actually big bushels of basil. But here, look at that. That's doing wonderful compared to this. And like you can see here, it just disintegrated entirely. And look at those weeds. Isn't that just sad? All that wasted fruit. Well, it's not wasted. It'll go to the pig, so it'll feed somebody. Look at that melon hiding in there. That's one of my orange meated watermelons. Take that guy. Look at that bloody dock. I mean, it's basically dried out in the ground, even though I just watered yesterday. This right here, these are my ground cherries. These are pineapple tomatillos, and those are Aunt Molly's. Those are huckleberries. This is what I have to come out and harvest tomorrow. Oh no, I've got a man down, man down. How did I not notice that immediately? Oh, he's heavy. Look at all of those seeds just ready to come out. So I guess I'm harvesting sunflowers as well. I'll put you back down. So as I was saying, I was gonna have to come out here tomorrow to harvest all of these little blackberries. They're actually huckleberries that I'm gonna be taking off. And the ground cherries, I'm gonna be trying to do something with those. But I'm really surprised by my sunflowers. Really love my sunflowers actually. But I don't know if I have time for a second wave of them. What do you think? Absolutely gorgeous. These right here, these are my Purple bumblebees is what it's called. They're a type of tomato from Baker Creek. Now these have been doing really well, and they don't really show anywhere of the heat and humidity. And so I'm really looking into growing the different varieties of these because they've topped the charts for me this year. The peanuts are looking fantastic, nice and thick. These sweet potatoes are really going to need some managing here soon. I don't even know if they're ready. And then of course my big Rampicante squash is doing absolutely excellent. I'm gonna go back and head back inside. It is just so grueling hot out here. For the most part, I just want to point out that my garden is doing fantastic for the season that it's in. It's really pulling through. This heat is harsh, very harsh. And it's still giving me things. It's still trucking along. It's still very green. And I'm not gonna lie, my heart always skips a little bit of a flattered beat anytime I see somebody drive by, but slow down real slow and just, you know, love and look at my garden as they drive by. That really blesses me in a big way. So I'm really proud of my garden. Very proud of it. If you're wondering what I've been doing with my tomatoes so far, I've only eaten like a handful of them fresh. Today we used them on like a sandwich. But for the most part, I've just been bagging them up whole and freezing them. And whenever I'll go to defrost them later, the skins, all of the harder bits, they'll just willingly and readily fall off, and it'll make processing them a lot easier on me. I put you on the trash can just because I'm really hot, honestly. I almost didn't even film a garden tour today just because with it being so hot and things not looking their best and maybe like starting to pull back a little, I was thinking like, man, not a lot has changed this week, but every little bit counts, every little baby step counts, because I will go through photos on my phone from April 29th, right? Like the week after I put my garden in, I'll go back and I'll look at them and I'm like, man, that's crazy, because now the garden looks like it's just supposed to be there, right? Like it's a natural landmark or something. But I forget about how much work and love went into this garden and how great it's doing. And I should be proud of something like that. And I really very much am. Like I said, I'm trying to pull myself out of planning mode because right now in like these grueling dog days of summer where you don't even want to leave your house, you don't want to leave the air conditioning and stuff, you know, you've got a lot of time in your head, and so you want to think of like your future garden, and like even if a future few weeks from now, whenever you can go back out in your garden and not worry about like heat advisories and heat strokes and things like that. It's hard not to get away from yourself mentally, but I keep like telling myself like, go out there, even if it's hot, even if you sweat, go spend time in your garden. But she's definitely feeling a little neglected right now because of all of the weeds. Hopefully I'll be able to tackle that soon. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see y'all later.